everyone, and welcome to Super Switch Headz, the premier Nintendo podcast on all of the internet. I am Summer Rain.
I'm Jordan Willis.
We did it. Try again, Jordan. Go for it.
I'm Jordan.
My name is Patrick Nisley.
And my name is David Howe.
And boy, oh boy, do we have a wonderful episode for you all today. We are covering the Nintendo Direct from this past week for June. But before we get into all of that, we're going to cover some other news. Is E3 canceled forever? The price of Game Pass is going up. And a little game you've maybe heard of, Final Fantasy XVI came out. But before we get into all of that, how's everybody doing? How's your past week been?
Pretty good. Kind of stressful. There's a lot going on. I'm about to go on a trip, actually. Thursday of this week, I'm going out to Spokane, Washington. I'm going to the Mysterium Con, which is a convention about the Myst series of games and other games related to Cyan. So that's going to be fun. I'm going to be doing that for a little bit. And then going to like Bozeman, Montana for a little bit to hang out with my partner. And then we're going to Salt Lake City. It's like a whole trip. I'm really excited about that because life's been super stressful recently. And I'm looking forward to kind of getting away for a bit. But that kind of like brings its own sort of stress with it, like prepping for a trip, making sure you haven't forgotten anything. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Yeah, there's like a lot of work to do, like before I leave work for 2 weeks, right? So if I'm a little all over the place, that's why in advance. But I'm very excited to be here. I'm very excited to talk about this Direct today.
I am doing pretty good. I got a new twin lens reflex camera recently, and I shot some photos of a friend and her dog, and they turned out really well. I got them back yesterday. Pretty stoked on that. And also found a bass player for the band that I play in. We hadn't had a bass player for a while, or it was on and off. So we finally found a more solid solution, which is nice.
Nice.
Also this weekend, I am also going to Washington. I will be stalking David. No.
Oh,
No,
joining my cult?
Joining your cult, baby. I'm in. I'm going to go to, we're flying into Portland, my partner and I, and then we're going to be renting a car and driving up the coast of the Pacific Northwest. And we'll end up circling back around to Seattle and flying out of Seattle like 5 days later. So
nice. That was originally my plan, was to go to Seattle. But then this like trip afterwards popped up. So I'm doing that instead. But man, I love Seattle. You're going to have a good time.
Yeah, we're not going to be there for too long. We're going to be mostly in like Western Washington, closer to the coast, and also the Olympic National Park, Forest Park, whatever. Anyway, pretty stoked on that. Patrick, go. I'm going to stop talking.
I'm doing fine. I went to Houston this past weekend to visit my uncle, who I am historically close to, but haven't seen a lot of in the last several years, partly due to the pandemic. So that was nice to hang out with him and for him to really get to see my kid for a substantial amount of time. And then, I don't know, other than that, things are shifting for me, but I'm coming to terms with how they're shifting. That's a longer discussion. It's all good, though.
Patrick, I think you and you, Summer, should also come to Washington.
Yeah, sounds like
next week.
Trust me.
We should all be in the same time zone. Yeah.
Oh, geez, right.
What are you doing? How was your week? How are you doing, Summer?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good, all things considered. Just mostly been a gamer, honestly, past week. I did celebrate the summer solstice. We have a place here in Oklahoma City that's kind of like Meow Wolf. It's called Mixtape Factory Obscura. And I saw that they were doing this summer solstice event celebration. Didn't know exactly what it was. Didn't need to know what it was. I was like, it says to dress up in a summer outfit. Let's check this out. And it ended up being like this full on like ceremony experience that ended in like us all like parading through the entire neighborhood in downtown Oklahoma City, just like singing this song that we all just learned and like ribbon twirling and stuff. It was really cool. So I am happy to go to more events there where I don't understand what they are before I get
Nice.
there. That was kind of like big for me. But other than that specific thing, it's been a lot of video games.
I want to join that cult.
Yeah.
That sounds sick.
No, it was awesome. It was a really impressive production, right? At the end of it, I was realizing like how much work had gone into this, all of the musicians and dancers and actors that put this whole thing together. It was really cool.
Awesome.
Well, last week we talked about Game Boy Advance games we wanted to see come to NSO. We got a lot of great comments on that episode. First up, I'm going to mention is Vincent Goodwin messaged me saying, because we talked about maybe him coming on for that episode, but it didn't work out, that he was so glad that David mentioned Tony Hawk 2 and Monkey Ball, although no surprise that David mentioned Monkey Ball. But because I think those were some of the weirder ones he had in mind.
Yeah. Oh, I do want to say I completely forgot to mention on that episode as well. Two of the games that I wanted to do that episode about, I just totally forgot them, was Klonoa 1 and 2 for the Game Boy Advance. They're like unique Klonoa games that they made just for the GBA, and they're awesome. They're really, really good. I wish that they were in that Klonoa collection that came to the Switch recently. But those are games I also really hope come to the service.
Over on YouTube, Donella927 said they'd love to see Robopon 2, which I don't know what that is, come to NSO. It apparently never released in Europe, and it's like a Pokemon-like with robots. I don't know. Sounds interesting. And then our friend Matt commented that in his opinion, Metroid Fusion is the better story, but that he likes Zero Mission more. And thanks for the Dragon Ball shout out. That was you, Jordan, I think. And then moving away from specifically that topic, a record said, whoa, okay, this leaker's track record continues. And that's the Pioro leaker we talked about.
Seriously,
who
right?
got some stuff right. Obviously, we will talk about that later for the direct. And then the discussion in the Discord is just too much to even shout out. Just so great. This podcast is spawning lots of great discussion over there, so come join it. But some people that participated in that discussion are Hans Gauger, Cool Uncle Vince, The Huge 27, Karosetta, Steve Irwin, Cup, Final Fantasy, and DCD. Thanks, y'all. So definitely send us a message if there's anything, we talk about in the news or regarding the direct today. If you have any comments, share them with us, and we'll try to shout you out. Hop over to the YouTube, hit like and subscribe, and watch the YouTube.
Yeah, Kirosetta, send me one of those GBAs with a USB-C port. That looks pretty. That looks pretty cool.
I will be placing an order.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Well, we're going to move on to the news and rumors for the week. We're going to start off with the future of E3. So this has been making the rounds in video game news that apparently the whatever the commission is, I guess the Los Angeles City Tourism Commission put out a report that suggests that E3 isn't going to be back in LA in 2024 or 2025. And so people are running with this a little bit, in my opinion, to say that E3 is dead completely or not coming back for at least a few years. Though, I mean, I don't know that that's an unreasonable speculation. This is just another little piece of evidence pointing towards it, maybe.
E3 is not listed on ReedPop's website anymore as one of the events that they do. And maybe that's just because they still haven't put it on themselves yet. But as soon as they acquired it, they threw it on there.
Now they don't want to be associated with it. Yeah.
Not on there anymore. Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about this in previous episodes, but it's like, I think it's time, if E3 ever does come back anyway, I think it's time to move away from the LA Convention Center, right?
Yeah.
I think, there's a lot of issues with that in general. I know a lot of people have issues, with it being there. Just the price of everything is really expensive. Finding a place to stay is super expensive. I know a lot of people have been saying E3 should move to somewhere like Las Vegas, where the CES is, right? Which I think makes a lot of sense. That's kind of what it spawned off of originally. Or even like Texas, I think would make for a good place. But either way, I do think E3 is not coming back. And Keeley is going to start looking at, places where he can host a physical event. And I think that's probably going to be the evolution of Summer Games Fest from here on out. And honestly, I mean, with this direct finally having happened, this whole Summer Games Fest like season or whatever felt pretty good and felt a lot like E3. So if they can add in some sort of live event that goes along with that,
Totally.
you know, I would have loved to have gone to an E3 in my lifetime. You know, that didn't end up working out, but I mean, this sounds like a pretty good alternative if they can get it figured out appropriately.
Well, we'll just have to see, right?
Yeah.
But something that is a little more confirmed is that the price of Game Pass, Microsoft's subscription service for games, is going up by $1 next month in July, going up to $10.99 a month, or I guess depending on your different, there's what the
tier you get, right?
Yeah, and the PC one and all that. They have different prices, but all of them, I believe, are going up by $1. And in addition to that, not in the US, but in some other markets, some of the console prices are going up too, right? The Series X in particular is going to be a little more expensive in Canada, some places in Europe, and Australia, and the UK.
Yeah, that's weird. So has a console price ever gone up in the past? Or?
Only recently.
The PS5
and the Oculus.
50 euros.
Right?
Yeah, and the Oculus. That was the one I could think of.
So it's happening nowadays.
Yeah, but in the past, I don't remember that happening.
Yeah, usually the other way.
The Game Pass increase, I thought, was all but inevitable. Like, it was just such a good deal. And also, like, you could do the hack where if you sign up for 1 month, it'll convert all your gold. So you buy 3 years of gold, which is what I did. And then when you convert it to with 1 month of Game Pass for $1, it converts all your gold. That's $5 a month to Game Pass, whatever. So I had Game Pass for like 3 years for a really cheap price. So that doesn't surprise me. The console price going up though is strange.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a shitty time for everyone in the economy globally, like inflation is still a big problem, and I think it's slowed a little bit recently. So it's a little strange that they're doing it now and not like 4 or 5 months ago. But I don't think they're dealing with any more like manufacturing shortages like they were at the beginning. Even Sony has seemingly taken care of that issue, right? So I don't know exactly what it is, but yeah, like you said, Game Pass was all but inevitable. It's a good deal, right? My question is if that Xbox Live Gold hack will still work, because I did the same as you, Jordan. I got like kind of a deal on Xbox Live Gold for like decently cheap. So I think it was about like $160 I paid for 3 years of Game Pass, which was an awesome deal at the time.
Yeah.
And mine is expiring like right before Starfield comes out, right? And I really want to play Starfield. And I don't know if it's going to be worth just dropping 70 or whatever that game is going to be when it comes out for it. But it's also not something where I'm like, oh, I'm going to beat Starfield in like a month or two. Like that's going to be something I want to be able to have around for a while. So I'm kind of at a bit of a crisis. I mean, it's not a crisis. My life is fine. Well, my life's not fine, but this isn't why. But like, but it's like, I'm just trying to figure out what to do. And hopefully that Xbox Live Gold hack still works, because that was a great way to get a bunch of Game Pass for a while. And even if I just didn't use it that much, I didn't feel like it was that much of an initial investment to where it felt like I was losing money,
Yeah.
We'll move on to game release. We don't normally cover non-Nintendo game releases, but this one's a big one. Final Fantasy XVI has come out. It's currently only on the PlayStation 5, and we don't have like sales numbers all over the place, but I know it's doing really well in the UK, or at least top the charts there. And it's reviewing, and people seem to be responding very positively to it overall. At least that's been my impression. And shout out to DCD, who seems to just be smitten with it. One of the very few people in our Discord that is talking about it, but
he's not the only one playing it, but yeah.
Yeah,
he's the one like
about it.
He's proselytizing it. Yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of friends that are playing this right now, and a lot of them are really happy with it. It's kind of a bit controversial on Twitter right now. I feel like you see a lot of people talking about how the game, they kind of stopped playing a little bit into it and they're just kind of over it. A lot of people are saying it's their favorite Final Fantasy in years, right? So people are kind of split. I saw somebody recently was like jumping down Gene Park's throat about it. Gene Park, he's the writer for Washington Post, because he said something about how he wished the game was better in some particular way or whatever. And they were like, "Look, if you hate the game, just say you hate the game." And then he posted.
I know what you're talking about, the review, and it's
It's his pull quote on the top saying it's a must-play game. He's like, "Bro, I like the game."
And that's what That's what I was going to say, is that like all of the major criticisms that I've seen, and this is where like I am begging on my hands and knees, gamers, to be able to think critically.
Yeah.
All of the biggest criticisms I've seen about the game are still coming from reviewers who are reviewing the game like with really high regard, right?
Yeah.
There are some people who clearly just don't like it. Okay, fine, whatever. But like the more deep criticisms that I can understand, like maybe like, yeah, okay, they should have handled this differently, are still coming from people that are like, this is a good game though, you should still play it. And I see a lot of this because I'm in a lot of these kinds of groups online of, you get people who just have these Final Fantasy lenses on, covering their eyes, and they see people trying to engage in like a thoughtful discussion about certain things in the game, and they just see that as, oh, if you don't like it, like what you just said, if you don't like the game, just shut up and let the rest of us enjoy it. Literally just trying to have a conversation, not that I hate the game, right? Like, and like a lot of them feel like the need to criticize Tears of the Kingdom now because they're so like weird and sensitive about this game. Like nobody is trying to say that this game is like better or worse than Tears of the Kingdom. I mean, like I'm sure some people are, but like I see this kind of stuff and I'm like, just shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Like I think that Tears of the Kingdom would be way better if it had HD Rumble. You know what I mean? Or like there are things that I wish Tears of the Kingdom did. I still think it's probably one of the best games ever made. You know, it's like,
exactly.
But you can have criticisms about things that you love. It doesn't mean you love them any less. It just means you're like, oh, but what if they did this? It's just something they could do for a sequel, right?
Exactly. We say these things because we care about it, not because we don't like it.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to Sonic Central. It's the Sonic the Hedgehog. At this point, they're doing this every year. Is that? It seems like they've been doing this.
I think so.
Sort of yearly showcase around the anniversary of Sonic for the past couple of years. It seems like.
Mm-hmm.
So they did a Sonic Central showcase this past week. I have not watched it. I just kind of read the highlights. I know, David, you watched it. From watching it, is there anything you want to point out?
Yeah, I mean, there was some cool stuff in it. I mean, mainly they went into a little bit more detail about Sonic Superstars. They talked a little bit more about how the co-op works. It's 4 people simultaneously running around the stage. I think they also touched on that a little bit in the Nintendo Direct, so we'll get to that. But it was also like Sonic's birthday, and so there were a bunch of updates to games, including like Sonic Frontiers. There was a big free update to Sonic Frontiers. Sonic Origins Plus dropped, the like kind of the full version with all the Game Gear games dropped in in the Sonic Origins collection. And then there was just this like really great part where like Eggman came out, and it was like Lego Eggman. They did a lot of stuff with like the minifigs, and a minifig of Eggman came out and did this like really funny rap. Like I was like really impressed with the humor. Usually when they're like, "My name's Eggman and I'm here to say," I'm like, "Oh my God, this is so cringy." But this was actually like really funny and it made me laugh a lot. So I like that they do this. And I think more than anything, we'll get into this in the main topic, but I'm really just pleased as punch that within a month, we're going to have a brand new 2D Sonic game and a brand new 2D Mario game, like dropping just around the same time. I'm just really happy about that. And I love these Sonic Centrals that they've been doing recently. The production value's been getting better and better each time. So keep them coming, Sega. I really enjoyed this quite a bit.
Nice. Thank you, David.
You're welcome, Patrick.
We'll move on to the Nintendo annual shareholder meeting just happened. And I don't know that there is really any information of note like that we want to talk about from the actual like stuff that they put out, except for the fact that apparently somebody has purchased enough stocks of Nintendo to be able to show up at this and complain about the male Splatoon characters' poses. So apparently,
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
That they're not as diverse and like fun as the girl poses.
So apparently, this individual purchased Switches using their credit card and sold them to get enough cash to be able to get shares of Nintendo so that they could show up at this meeting and then ask what apparently was such a long question that Furukawa had to cut them off and say that's too long of a question. That was all about Splatoon 3 being too feminine focused.
There's also like no genders in Splatoon.
Right.
Like you can't like pick a gender. You just pick hairstyles.
So it's the short hairstyles, I guess.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people online saying that the person that did this before and asked about F-Zero set this precedent, but I feel like we shouldn't blame that person too much because apparently they asked a short, succinct question that was a little more broad, and I don't know. I feel like maybe the news, like we should be blamed rather than people that are reporting on these things. I don't know.
No, let's never blame ourselves, Patrick. This
I
is
also
not our
think
fault.
maybe just this individual's fault for thinking that this was a good idea and that it would do anything other than make people point at them and say,
Look, I
"That's
don't
dumb."
think this is a bad. I think this is a good thing. I like this trend of like weirdo
Big fans.
Japanese people with a dispendable income.
I don't know that this
Nintendo
person
shares.
had a good income.
Well, whatever.
They
It's
were
like
wasting their money.
I mean, this spices it up a little bit. You know what I mean?
That
It's
is true.
like if you want to get Nintendo's attention, this is the way to do it, right? I mean, like, not saying that they're going to take this person seriously, but I want to see more people do. This is funny to me. I think this is great. Like, do I think this person is all right in the head? I don't know about that. I haven't seen a direct translation of it. It's fine with me. Do what you want with your money.
I'm kind of with you in that, like, shaking up these stuffy stockholder meetings with showing it. Maybe this just is like, hey, y'all have some mega fans. And maybe I don't know. Maybe there needs to be a forum for that or something.
Shareholders,
Yeah, maybe there needs to be some way to do this officially, like submit. I don't know, but then it would obviously be overrun. So I don't know. It's just fascinating that this person did this and that it happened. Right?
I don't know what he's complaining about. We got a male idol this time. All right. Like, what more representation do you want?
And his name is Big Man. Exactly.
His name is
like,
Big Man.
So you know that he's a man.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
The only like specifically gendered character. Granted, he's a stingray, but that's fine.
I know that adds to the potential point, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe laying in there. I don't know. This is difficult, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know, if you want a masculine thing, go play Call of Duty.
There's so many games for men. Why are you complaining?
Right?
Yeah. Dude,
For men.
they sell so many Xboxes in Japan. Just pick up an Xbox. Get the Japanese Game Pass.
Okay, that might.
So moving on to Everybody 1-2 Switch. The game that was announced less than a month ago is coming out, this week? Like real soon. And wasn't featured in the Direct, but did get a very strange video. I thought it was a trailer. I'll be honest, I did not watch it. And then everybody was like, oh, you can play with like 100 people or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I just kind of missed this. And I'm really only watching it for the first time now. While I am playing it for y'all.
It's distressing.
Trailer, I guess.
Yeah, it's not really a trailer. It's more like they got people together to play it.
They really said millennials are starting to become like figureheads in the workplace. They can use this as an icebreaker for their meetings.
Pretty much,
for their big time. I'll be honest. My gut reaction when I saw that it was 100 people all at once, I was like, okay, this would be cool for conventions when you have a bunch of nerds all in the same place. The trick, maybe the bigger concern is finding like the appropriate size screen for 100 people in a room to be able to like see it like well enough.
You just got to rent out a ballroom in a hotel like they did in this video.
And get a horse
it'll work
hat
just
or-
fine.
That's
So,
a convention.
As someone who's been to a lot of ballrooms and a lot of hotels, they don't all have screens this size or projectors that manage to adequately project to that size. So
it still doesn't really show the game that well.
it's just activities.
Yeah.
Like I'm watching this and it's mostly people clapping and swinging Joy-Cons around, and I
It's
still have very
WarioWare,
little
but it's
sense
not as
of
cute.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really weird. I think to me the thing that stood out, other than the fact that it was just like a reason to invite a bunch of Nintendo YouTubers out to Tokyo. By the way, Nintendo, if you're listening, we're available for 1-3 Switch or whatever the fuck you want to call the next one. Everybody in the world 1-2 Switch is the next one. But no, what stood out to me about this was the cell phone usage, right? It's like, only a few people play with Joy-Cons and the rest play with their cell phones. And there's a lot of really kind of weird, interesting ways to use them that utilize like the accelerometer or gyro sensors in your phones. And so that to me is a little interesting. Like, I wonder how exactly that's going to work. You like kind of scan a QR code from the game console and then it'll put you in a room, kind of like Jackbox, right? But they're doing stuff like throwing stars, right? Like that WarioWare Wii U game that came out, or like doing like weird jumps and stuff, like using your phone and like saying hello to aliens in this really creepy way that happens at the end of this. But it's like so that is kind of fascinating to me, like Nintendo kind of using the phone as a controller outside of just like making selections or drawing something on a phone screen like you would in a Jackbox game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if that works, it would be kind of cool. But I mean, let's be honest, I don't think that this really sold anybody on this game. I think it's still very clearly a niche product, and it really shows a lot that they dropped this trailer and then announced a Nintendo Direct a few days later that did not include any word about this game. Like, Nintendo is clearly not very confident in this.
And then also dropped a WarioWare game with games that look similar but much better.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
Yeah, I
make
don't know.
WarioWare for 100 people.
What are we
Right.
doing? Exactly.
I mean, that's actually my like honest to God question here, right? And I feel like there would be such a funny way to tie that into a WarioWare game as to why we have 100 people, and like because it would be Nintendo. So I'm going off the rails now. In
That's
game
okay.
achievements, every time you like get, I'm thinking like sorry, I'm thinking like the 3DS Street Pass now though, right? But like because of the phones, right? And maybe if you like allowed it to like access your data or whatever to be like, oh, you got all these states and you got people within this demographic or whatever. I'm like, man, they should have just done this with WarioWare, because then that would be a fun way to like.
Or this should just be a cell phone game, is what you're making me think. Like,
Yeah.
Oh.
No,
Why
but you need like a
require-
centralized kind
Yeah,
of
it's-
system to run everything through, right? So I think that that's kind of like what the point is. It's like that's kind of your home base, and then everybody uses their cell phones as like the ancillary kind of controllers, right?
I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Then let's not talk about
But
it
there is
anymore.
something I do want to talk about, and
Ooh.
that is the Nintendo Direct that just happened. And so we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to talk all about this June Direct we got this past week. All right, we are back, and we are talking this week about the June 21st, 2023 Direct. Came out last Wednesday. We're going to give our impressions of it and go through it and talk about what we liked and all that kind of stuff. But first of all, it happened, right? There was some will they, won't they? And Nintendo did do a June Direct, albeit later than maybe they would have if there was an E3. But we got it. How did this Direct? I mean, we're going to all grade it and talk about it in detail, but just big picture thoughts. Anybody want to share anything before we get into it?
Maybe before we talk even about that, I mean, I think we need to give a shout out, and everybody turn your attention to Puro on Twitter, right? Who successfully leaked that it was happening this week, that there was going to be Super Mario RPG, the name of the 2D Mario game that was going to be in it, and other stuff too. I think they showed Pikmin 1 and 2 as well. So it's like they clearly had access to the entire Direct. So this is definitely a leaker to watch if that is your sort of thing. I will say, as somebody who follows leakers, this is the first time that I think some of the wind was taken out of my sails because I knew what was going to be in it. And I also watched like Papagino's video like the night before the direct because I was all hyped, and he went through all his stuff. He talked about how Mario Wonder was going to have Daisy and an elephant and caterpillars and stuff like that, right? So it was cool seeing those things happen, but I think like this was the first time where I think I'm starting to get some of what you've been talking about, Patrick, where it's better to not be spoilt by leaks beforehand. But that said, I mean, this is still a pretty awesome direct. I don't think this is their best direct, but man, there was a lot of stuff in there for me. And we didn't even think we were going to get one, right? But we did get one. Are you glad we got one?
Yeah, I'm glad that I got I'm glad we got one. There was definitely stuff that I was happy to see in this.
I'm glad we got one. I just wish it had happened sooner, closer to everything else. Because there was just a couple announcements that I was like, oh, we already know about this.
Totally.
I don't really care.
Things that I assumed were coming to Switch anyway. Like specifically Persona Tactica and the Sonic game, right?
Yeah.
Like both of those, I was kind of like, all right, I'm turning the volume down because like I knew that this was
right
coming.
Yeah.
Not that they're not games that I'm excited. I'm not that they are games that I'm still excited about, but I felt like it was taking up precious time, right? Like, come on. Are we padding this?
Well, just be thankful there wasn't 3 minutes of YouTube influencers playing Everybody Wants to Switch in this direct, because that would have been way worse.
For sure.
True.
Yeah.
No, I did not weep and cry that there wasn't another Fire Emblem announcement. That can happen in the next direct. It's fine.
Yeah, you streamed this too, right?
Yes,
Summer? Yeah.
I did, and I was doing like a whole like ramp up campaign of like if Fire Emblem Holy War Genealogy of the Holy War gets announced, then at the end of the stream we're picking the cosplay I'm doing. Obviously that did not happen. But like still excited. I mean, like Super Mario RPG getting remade is awesome, right?
Yeah.
Like I can finally play one of my favorite games. It's cool. Right?
There were definitely some notable no-shows here that maybe we'll get to at the end. But totally.
I will say just too, also knowing the two big reveals the day before did take a lot of the wind out of the sails for me to where the rest of the direct fell flat overall, but still happy to have gotten anything at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, let's go into more detail then. So we'll walk through this, at least the big stuff. So first up, the direct started, and I feel like this is interesting for various reasons with some Pokemon DLC. You know, everybody's always saying there will never be Pokemon stuff in a Nintendo Direct.
Not never, just unlikely,
And
but yes.
This one had multiple, right? It opened with this DLC info. I'm going to ask Summer to maybe be our Pokemon person here and help me not say something that's incorrect. They showed off, a lot of stuff that's coming in the Hidden Treasure of Area Zero, which is the DLC for these games, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's broken out into the fall and winter. But what's the big news here, Summer? Do you have it? Could you succinctly give it to us?
It's just additional content. It looks exciting. We're getting some new characters. It's formatted really similarly to the DLC that we got for Sword and Shield, where it is coming out in 2 different waves. They are additional story content, new Pokemon, new characters. It's going to introduce some new things to the meta for sure for the next cycle as well. And that's pretty much, I mean, we got to see a lot more of what the environments were going to look like. We already knew about this DLC, but getting to see more of it was kind of cool. Was surprised that they opened up the direct with something that we already knew about, though, and that it was Pokemon. So I just wanted to get those words out there that, like, not only was it surprising that it was Pokemon, but it was Pokemon something we already knew about and was just, like, showing us a little bit more. So that being the start really did get me questioning what else I was going to be seeing for the rest of it, because that almost read to me like, we need to have a direct and we need content for it. And because otherwise I don't know that we would have seen Pokemon in there, right? We got 2 Pokemon things. Don't get me wrong. I'm excited to see them.
I agree. I'm with you that actually the first few things, and we'll get to the next ones here in a minute.
Yeah,
Had me kind of wondering
sure.
about this, but
Totally. No, I'm in complete agreement on that.
Well, yeah, I was I thought this was a really weak start to the direct. I think
Yeah.
I think that I was as soon as this started, I was like, ooh, this direct's gonna be pretty fucking thin, because it was first of all, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, I fell off that so fast. I know a lot of people really enjoyed that game. That was a very controversial game. They've put out a ton of patches for that game. None of them have addressed any of the main issues that people had with that game. So I think it's fallen out of favor with a lot of people. I understand that game sold millions and millions of copies. So it is a popular thing. And I understand why they had it open. But it's like, especially after Tears of the Kingdom having come out, it's like kind of hard to look at an open world game like Pokemon and get excited. You know what I mean? It was just graphically, it looks really barren. The town seemed so empty, just everything. And they didn't really reveal much. They just kind of showed some areas, right? So to me, this is kind of a pretty wet blanket opening for the direct. And I was not super excited to see it personally. And there were other Pokemon things that we didn't know were going to be coming out necessarily later. We'll get to some of that here in a second. But yeah, I don't know, man. This just kind of like further solidified my I'm kind of done with modern Pokemon stance. Seeing this come out, it didn't really do anything to win me back over, I guess I'll say.
Well, we got to see that this direct was then hosted by Koizumi and Takahashi, which is a little unusual to see both.
It was nice though. They have good chemistry.
It was nice. Yeah. So they led us through this. And then the next announcement, something that you've already kind of talked about, something we already kind of knew about, is the Sonic Superstars game. They showed off a little more of it in this direct than they have, at least in, I don't know now with Sonic Central, that might have shown even more, but prior to that, right? So we did see more of it, and it looks great.
I'm pretty sure that it was during this direct that it was confirmed that the 4-player gameplay would be like normal gameplay and not just
like simultaneous. Yeah.
Right, not just for mini games or whatever. So that actually, I was like, oh, there was actually like new information during the Nintendo Direct, which kind of surprising.
Yeah, and some of the power-ups and locations and all that kind of stuff. But man, I'm really excited about this game.
Me too, dude. Yeah. Jordan, are you pumped for this?
I'll play it. I'll come over to your house and play it. How's that? I'm not gonna buy
think
it.
the co-op is not online. It's local only, right?
It's co-op,
Yeah. But
it's more fun that way with this kind of stuff, right? With Mario. Like the whole point is that you like are yelling at each other what to do. And now I can do that with Sonic and not just Mario.
I'm curious like how the multiplayer is going to work. I mean, Sonic is so fast, right? It's like I feel like it's gonna be really easy to get left behind in this game. Like, are you gonna have bubbles in this, like New Super Mario Brothers or something? It's like this felt like well, again, we keep talking about it. Mario Wonder feels like they've evolved past New Super Mario Brothers. This feels like Sonic's New Super Mario Brothers moment. You know what I mean? Like it feels like they're finally getting to that point. I'm a little curious about it. It definitely looked like it was running on a Switch. The graphical fidelity wasn't quite what they had shown at other presentations. But that said, it looked like it was running at a solid 60 FPS on the Switch. Seems like this would be a pretty good pickup for that, to be honest.
Next up, they showed a game called Palia. I don't know if y'all want to talk about this game. I don't really have a lot to say about it. It looked like just sort of another...
It doesn't have any character.
3D
That's what I want to say about it. I'm tired of seeing these farming games giving the farming game genre like a bad name, because as soon as I saw this, I was like, I love farm games. Maybe I don't love farm games. Crap like this getting shoveled out, right?
I mean, it looks well done.
Just like
I don't know if it's
you just
fair
like bad art. You just don't like bad art.
Like, it looks like Fortnite graphics. You know?
Yeah, there's no art style that's really distinctive to this. I feel like the most interesting thing this had going for it was that it is an MMO. So
and that it's free to play, right?
Yeah, but I'm like,
I missed that part because I was too stuck on how I didn't like how it looked. So.
But those things also, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know that those things lend themselves towards success.
We'll see. I mean, I don't really know like a MMO farm sim really, so it could be cool, but I'm not sold. Also, it just looks like not.
Yeah.
Again, this was more of just like, oh my God, three announcements in, nothing's really grabbing me yet.
Right.
You know,
Same.
it's either stuff I know about
Sure.
or I just don't give a fuck about.
Because then again, right?
Persona, yeah.
After that, I was like, I already knew this was going to come to Switch. Like, yes, I'm going to buy it. I don't need to see it again. Thank you. Next.
Yeah. Is there
Yeah.
anything y'all want to talk about with Persona 5 Tactica, or we'll move on?
It was the exact same trailer that they showed.
Yeah,
previously.
it feels like the title, someone slipped when trying to type tactics and accidentally hit A instead of S. I didn't realize until this presentation that it was actually called Tactica. I was like, oh, okay,
Oh.
I
weird.
guess it's because of
Yeah.
Persona. I don't know.
But yeah, nothing about this really. I mean, I love Persona 5 and I like the characters and I like the visual style, but nothing about this really seemed to draw me in versus any other tactics game, really. So I don't know. We'll see, like when it comes out, how it reviews. But this is probably going to be one that I skip as well.
It's about this point where I don't know. Then we have Myth Force. I guess we should mention Myth Force. I actually think this game looks interesting personally, but I could see maybe this again not, somebody who's not interested in this.
I don't know. As soon as I saw this, I was like, did David work on this?
It does look very He-Man, Masters of the Universe.
Well,
Which is
they
obviously what
say
they were going
that,
for,
yeah.
right? Which I
Right,
feel like can,
right.
which I feel like can go either way, right?
Right.
It's like they're almost capitalizing on the success of that very specific, aesthetic.
Yeah.
So like but it's got to be good, otherwise it's going to be annoying.
Right. I think that's the key here for me, is that this game looks really interesting in terms of its art direction. And the 3D, how they did that just looks amazing to me, kind of, but I don't know if it'd be fun or not. And so I'm definitely interested if it's
Wait
fun.
for reviews.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely
Yeah.
interested if it's fun and some other people want to play it, because it looks like it's the kind of game that would be best played with friends, right?
It does remind me a bit of like Gunfire Reborn, which is like a first person like roguelike game and is insanely fun with 3, even 2 people. So it could be fun. But again, wait for the reviews. I kind of like the sword and sorcery aspect too, so instead of just being guns, it's kind of nice, magic and swords and shit. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you guys. I think visually it looks really cool. I love the idea of a first-person melee combat game.
Yes.
I always will proselytize Xenoclash, which was a really strange, like first-person melee combat game for PC. I love that game. I played it recently on my Steam Deck, actually. Just like replayed it. And a 4-player like co-op roguelike sounds cool. But yeah, it's also just being developed by Aspire, right? And I feel like Aspire doesn't have the best track record, right? I mean, they do all the ports of the Star Wars games for the Switch, and there's been a lot of rumors that they've been laying off staff and that Knights of the Old Republic remake is canceled, and there was the whole debacle with having to pull back content that they promised for Knights of the Old Republic 2 for the Switch. So I don't have a ton of faith in Aspire currently, but man, if they could stick the landing on this would definitely be a really big boost for them as a company, and they could really use a win like this.
So as we're watching this direct, I think that was the first thing that kind of piqued my interest. I mean, Sonic game, obviously, but then, man, I forgot how rough the first half of this direct was.
I know, because now next is the Splatoon news, which, yes, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, they're introduced, and like, finally something so like, it's just what you said. Like, I care about these other things, but I'm like, okay, finally, like, what I'm really interested in. I fully assumed, like, as soon as they started talking about Splatfest, I was like, oh, and they're going to give us they're going to tell us what the next wave of DLC is after this. Guess what they didn't do after the Splatfest?
They sure didn't. Yeah.
They sure only told us about the Splatfest, which is something that they just normally do online. So this always just felt like more feeling, oh my God, you guys.
I feel like
Wait a second.
It's like they had time set aside for Splatoon if Side Order DLC was like ready to be shown.
Yeah.
And it wasn't ready in time. So they're like, all right, let's fill the slot with just whatever the
But that just means that
Splatfest
Side Order
right?
is going to be that good.
Let's hope that's what that means. Yeah.
Man. So we're team mint chocolate chip though, right?
I am pro that, yeah.
I'll do it if everybody else is doing it, but man, I think the pink ink from Team Strawberry looks pretty good. And then there's also obviously Team Cum with vanilla.
I know, that was my first thought.
And Team Cum always wins. Mayo won, white
that's a
chocolate
good
won.
point.
Might be worth finally getting on the winning team.
I do like vanilla. I do actually like vanilla.
Okay, just answer me this. Why didn't they go with strawberry vanilla chocolate, like a Neapolitan?
Yeah,
like, what?
It's really weird.
I'm very confused. Like, I was watching this and I was like, oh yeah, it's going to be strawberry vanilla chocolate. And then they said mint chocolate. And I'm like,
because it has to be something weird for Big Man. Don't you know this by now?
I also think because they did that whole chocolate Splatfest, maybe.
Yeah, they've done it. They've done chocolate already, and I think also they didn't want it to be poop versus cum. Right?
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Not again. You're right.
Yeah.
okay,
So,
fair enough. That
let's
makes
get
sense.
real.
Oh no! But Big Man has to have like the weird one, right? So they wanted to write funny dialogue for Big Man. That's why it's mint chocolate chip.
Yeah, but I mean that's in July, right? So we'll have a poll up in our Discord to see what gets the most votes. But I think the vibe in the Discord right now is pretty heavily leaning towards mint chip. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
This is, for me at least, where the direct starts to turn around, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So next up is the detective, long rumored or actually even announced.
It was confirmed,
yeah.
but like we all just kind of forgot about it because like, okay, it'll come sometime.
Yeah, so we got our Detective Pikachu game for the Switch called Detective Pikachu Returns. And I don't know that you could say the graphics are like stunning, but it looks fun, right?
Looks like as good as it probably needs to, right?
I mean, we got a great shot of Tim Goodman wearing his iconic red hoodie. So iconic.
And I don't know. The game looks like it might have. I never played the 3DS one, but I
did.
Was it fun?
I own it. Yes, I really enjoyed it. It was like, it was just a cute, like, it was like Professor Layton, but like with Pokemon kind of, right? Or like Ace Attorney even, like some of those kinds of elements, but like flipped with Pokemon, and it was cute, like actually interacting in that, like for all the same reasons that like that I really enjoyed like the movie, which was based on the first game, by the way.
Yeah,
right?
it's like the story of the first game. Yeah,
it's just it's just really nice experiencing the Pokemon universe in a different atmosphere that isn't all just, battling. And like it's nice seeing them explore the reasons for that too in this like story. So I personally I'm looking forward to this. Now, yes, it is a game that was technically announced. Not that we knew when it was going to come, but like technically we knew that this, right, an already announced title.
I'm really happy though that Detective Pikachu still likes coffee. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I want. That's all I needed to know.
It felt like they capitalized on that like really hard. It was like we took the things that people loved about the movie and we made sure that Pikachu said it like 5 times in this trailer.
Yeah.
I did get that vibe a little bit.
Yeah.
However, let's not get this twisted. This game looks like dog shit. I mean, it looks like fun, but dude, this is like a Jack and Daxter for the PS2 looking ass game, dude. Like I'm looking at like I was like held on a character model here. Like, dude, these graphics are bad. And like this feels like this was developed for the 3DS and they've had it done for a really long time and they just sat on it for some reason. Like maybe they wanted to cancel it or they were like, oh, this is whatever. And then they were like, oh, well, we have it done. Let's just port it to the Switch or whatever, right? But it's like, this is an opportunity for, like Pokemon Snap, the new Pokemon Snap was gorgeous, like that was, obviously that was Bandai Namco. This is being developed by Creatures. I noticed at the end card it said that it's not being developed by Game Freak. But I mean, this is an opportunity for a smaller story, really focus a little bit on making it a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. That's clearly not what the focus of this is. And that not every game needs to look good, but it's like, man, after a game like Scarlet and Violet, which got really heavily criticized for its graphics, you'd kind of hope that they put their best foot forward, I guess, but
I don't disagree with you that it could look better, but maybe I'm like, this game looks great for a Pokemon game. You know what I mean? Dude. Like, because I have such low standards for anything.
There's like
Pokemon.
No shadows anywhere. It's like so flat, like, I don't know. I don't know. This game looks really ugly to me, but
well, I'm interested to play it. I think this would be a fun game to play with my kid. It's coming out October 6th.
Totally.
Man, October. It's going to be stacked.
Yeah, it really is.
But anyway, or that era, like around October, November, right? Like we're just going to have a lot.
For me, that's why I'm like, definitely not getting this game. Yeah. It's like very low on the tier of priorities in that by that month. I probably won't even be done with Starfield. I might not even been done with Tears of the Kingdom. Shit, I don't even know.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, let's move on to one of the big ones then, right? So after this, honestly, this it starts to really get going here. We got the Super Nintendo remake, right? That was leaked. It's Super Mario RPG.
Not Genealogy of the Holy War. Just in case you still hadn't watched the direct and you're finding out now.
So yeah, this looks really nice. I don't know what else to say about it. Any thoughts on this remake?
I mean, this is really fucking hype, dude. I mean, this is great that this game is coming back. I mean, people have been wondering for a while why this isn't on NSO. People just assumed it was because Square didn't want to play ball. Yeah. But that doesn't seem to be the case. It seems to be because they were like, let's just do a remake instead. And what I love about this is that this is kind of following in the footsteps of like Link's Awakening, where it's like pretty much a one-to-one remake, but it just looks better, right? Like, I think that they've done this great thing with the visuals here, where it like looks like how you remembered it from the Super Nintendo. Like the characters are like, you know, it's like this short little stubby, cute little baby Mario who wants uppies. And like, you know, fucking, you know, like they added like cutscenes, and it's like they took the pre-rendered 3D things and made them actually real time. Something like this makes me want to see what they could do with like a Donkey Kong Country remake, you know, like do the original graphical style, but clean and in real time instead of pre-rendered, right? Like, I don't know. I just thought this looked fantastic. This is a game I've started dozens of times and never finished. So this is a great opportunity for me to actually like play through this game in full. I'm very, very excited for this remake. What about you guys? What do you think about this?
I think it looks phenomenal. I've only ever played Super Mario RPG on my SNES Classic, and I also had mono, so the whole thing was like a fever dream. That's probably the closest I've ever been to death in my entire life. Crazy time, but I was playing that game, so that's like it's interlinked with that. So I'm like, I would love to replay this game in a not near death state. It would be very nice. And it's just like the graphics look incredible. Like, you know, people always shit on the Switch for not having the best graphics, but I'm like, it doesn't, if you have a good art design and an art style, like it carries the game. It doesn't matter if it's the most realistic graphics. It's just like, it still looks great and fun to play. So, my main concern is I know the game itself, and we talk all about this, but I think the game's like 20 hours maybe. So for a full price point, to me, seems a little high, but that's just...
At least it's not 70.
That's true. At least it's not 70. But I was like, I would prefer 40 or 50. But that's just...
Yeah.
Oh, is it 60?
It's 60, yeah. I think honestly, it looks like they put a lot of work into this. You know, again, if we're going back to the Link's Awakening comparison, you know, that's not a very long game either. But it's like, it seems like they're actually adding stuff to this. Like you can see in some of the battles, there's like a new gauge to the side. It looks like a lot of the like cinematics that they were showing, some of them seemed like they were in battles. So it seems like a lot of the big attacks that maybe they're adding through that gauge will have kind of like little cutscenes that play whenever you like pull off big chain attacks or whatever, right? So I feel like this is going to be worth it. I mean, you know, there could be 20-hour games that are $60, right? You know, we got Yoko Shimomura coming back to do a whole redone soundtrack, and the one thing I have done with this game is I've listened to that soundtrack a whole bunch of times. This game is an amazing soundtrack. So I think this is going to be worth it. This seems, I know a lot of people that are like, this and Super Mario Wonder are my two voucher games, right? So if nothing else, get a game voucher and then this game will be $50 for you, right?
I'm pretty excited too, as somebody who's actually never played this game and really wanted it when I was a kid and just never somehow keep missing it. So this is my
Well, you're a big Paper Mario fan too,
Yeah.
right? Like, so this will be kind of a bit of where those origins come from, right?
But much better than the modern Paper Mario games.
Yo, Origami King kind of slapped. I like that game a lot.
Hard disagree and I beat it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, let's move on to what was maybe one of the things I was most excited to see in this.
Me too.
We're getting a Princess Peach game. They didn't give us a ton of information about it. We don't know the name. We think it's coming next year, I think.
As long as her powers aren't based on, you know,
emotions.
stereotypes about female emotions, then we're good. I'm sold.
It looks like it, right? There's a very short teaser, but what it showed is interesting to me. It's sort of I don't know what like Super Mario 3D World where it's 2D, but there's 3D plane where she can move, and it kind of looks like it's a stage play, maybe reminiscent of Super Mario Bros. 3, like the aesthetic of it. I think the aesthetic looks great. It looks like she's actually platforming or attacking or whatever in a more traditional way.
They did another magical gown change, which is apparently how we're converting all of the Elsa fangirls into being Princess Peach.
We're going to be able to
fangirls.
sell pink and blue
We
Peach
can sell-
outfits.
Well, we can
Is
sell
that what it
Princess
is?
Peach, period.
Yeah. I think, first of all, this is a very weird thing for Nintendo to do, to announce a game that is coming out next year with
No
no
title.
description, no title, no description on what the gameplay is like, and only like 20 seconds of footage. They just said Princess Peach is getting a game. Anyway, and then like moved
Here's
on.
Luigi.
Yeah, it was really, really
He's
odd.
also here.
But I mean, just trying to like look at some of it kind of seems almost like a beat 'em up, right? In that it's like 2D, but it's like you can kind of go forward and backward a little bit.
Oh,
So I'm just really curious as to what this game is going to be. But I mean, just like you guys, I mean, fuck, this is great. Princess Peach deserves her own game, has needed one for a long time. Like you said, Summer, that isn't just about her emotions, right? I mean, that was a little, you can't really do that these days. And hopefully that isn't what this is. But yeah, I'm just really more than anything curious as to what this is going to be like. I'd love to see more female characters in Nintendo.
Zelda
I'd love to
gets
see
a
Zelda
game.
get a game, like so bad. I really wish Zelda was playable in Tears of the Kingdom. But yeah, we'll just have to see what this is like. It's just this kicked off a few really odd announcements from Nintendo. The next one was weird too.
Well,
I
let's
think.
do the next one, which is that Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon is also getting an upgraded graphical, I think is how they described it, version for the Switch next year as well. They didn't give a lot of info about this, showed a tiny bit as well. I think the reality is they're just like, this is our Mario Direct, right? Like all the Mario, and here's our chance to show a few far off things or mention them that tie in. That's sort of my guess.
Yeah, I've played this game and I really enjoy it. I don't know. I don't know if I need to replay it. The graphical upgrade. Hopefully, I mean, anyone who plays Luigi's Mansion 3 who did not play this game would
That's
pick
who
it
this
up.
is for.
Yeah.
I think.
But
Well, yeah, Luigi's Mansion 3 sold really, really well on the Switch, right? So
Right.
they're definitely getting in on some of that. They're getting in on some of the people that loved like Charlie Day in the Mario movie, right? They're kind of trying to hit like all the characters from the Mario movie, minus one, which we'll talk about at the end. But yeah, I don't know. It kind of doesn't seem like they're doing much to it other than just up-resing it and making it fully widescreen on the Switch, right?
yeah, I wish it was a little bit more work went into making it look a little better, because bringing that from the 3DS to the Switch, it doesn't look as good, in my opinion, as Luigi's Mansion 3 is a gorgeous game.
Yeah, it's one of the best looking games on the Switch for
some
sure.
of the best animations that
Yeah.
they've ever done too. And just so going backwards, I think people are gonna be like, what, but not realizing that it's a 3DS game. I don't know. So I might pick it up if it's $30 though.
It won't be 30. There's no way.
No.
Probably not. It definitely should be though. Yeah.
I'm also kind of curious if this is like a half announcement. You know what I mean? Maybe could it be that and the first one? I don't know. That might be.
That's what I was
reaching.
confused about. I'm like, well, if we're jumping ahead, we're putting other GameCube games in HD on the Switch. So why isn't the first
Maybe
Luigi's
they-
Mansion?
I'm wondering if they're saving that, but you never know. You can't count.
Maybe they're
on
doing
that.
like a full round remake of it.
I-
And that's why.
I bet they will, because they also ported the original GameCube one to the 3DS, right? And so it's, if they've got them both in the same engine running, then that would be a pretty easy port. It feels like it'd be a Pikmin 1+2.
I think this was a
So why
save it so that they have more to talk about later. And
Yeah,
like,
that's what I think.
But we'll see. We don't know.
next year. We'll find out next year.
Yeah.
It's some undetermined time in 2024.
TBA.
But we get into a run of some third party stuff here. Gonna just kind of cruise through this, but if y'all want to talk about any of them, please slow me down. The Batman Arkham trilogy coming out this fall. I mean, I don't know.
Random.
For me.
I've played all three. Portability is cool, but then I read that the cart is only going to have the first game on it, and then you have to download the other two. And that's just like, that trend's annoying. I guess if you're buying it digitally, it doesn't matter, but just whatever.
Yeah.
This feels like a little late.
Yes,
right?
very late.
This has been rumored for a long time. It's been rumored for like 3 or 4 years that a Batman trilogy is coming to the Switch. But I feel like most people who would want to play this have played them already. I'm sure there's going to be people that don't have other consoles or never had an Xbox 360 or an Xbox One or whatever and played these. But so this is good for those people. I know who is porting this. I didn't see who was porting this. But
something to play while you wait for Metroid Prime 4 to get some announcement, but then also get just pushed to the Switch 2, which we all know is going to happen.
It's being developed by Turn Me Up, who I think also did like the It Takes Two port for the Switch, which I think was competently done. So I feel like these are probably going to run well, which is what you really want, right? Like these aren't cloud versions, fortunately, right? But yeah, it's just continues to be a very random set of announcements at this Direct.
So yeah, we'll cruise through these maybe. Gloomhaven, board game coming out September. Just Dance 2024 in October. Silent Hope, an interesting looking.
What is this game?
So it's an Xseed game. So the company that does Harvest Moon, now Story of Seasons, and Rune Factory. The game looks like there's combat, and then I was like, oh, so this is just like the combat of Rune Factory, but like not the farming, so it's not so right. So I was like, I was then corrected later in the trailer, and then I saw the farming, and I was like, well, why isn't this a Rune Factory game? Are we just spreading our wings and we're having multiple IPs and there's going to be something else that's different about that? I'll probably be picking up this one. Just as soon as they showed, as soon as I saw the cows, which were like the standard cows in every Harvest Moon and Rune Factory game, I was like, okay, like in case you didn't recognize the company title, like that's how you know. It's what the cow looks like. Moving on.
See what you did there.
I'll probably pick up Gloomhaven because it's been on my list for so long for PC, and I love a complicated board game, but I can never find enough people that I know that want to play a complicated board game. Or the setup takes an hour, and then then it's like, oh, now I got to play this game for 4 hours. This is insane. But I'll probably pick this up because I've seen it on Steam for so long. But something about sitting at my computer and doing it, I don't want to play it. But if I'm able to like take it with me, I'll probably pick this one up personally. But yeah, Fae Farm, let's go.
Yeah, Fae Farm, September 8th. This game is a Switch exclusive. I don't know if there's anything we want to talk about with Fae Farm. I feel like a lot of people shit on it, but I'm sure it's also appealing to a lot of people. So. Yeah,
it looks fine. Everybody,
I think it looks good.
Fine.
I'm literally the only person that, I'm the only person that doesn't like it. It's okay. Like,
it's okay to like it or not like it. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think I know exactly why you don't like this game so much, Summer. Because I think it looks kind of good. I think it looks kind of like Animal Crossing, right? Like it's like it seems like the most like Animal Crossing that a game has been since Animal Crossing came out, right? So I mean, sure. Like I think aesthetically it does look a little bit like Farmville, like I think you said on a previous podcast. But I mean, and this isn't for me. I'm not going to be picking this game up, but this game looks kind of charming. It has a lot of character to it, I think.
No, I lost it. Fuck. It's no Pal World, okay? You don't hate it as much as you hate Pal World. It looks fine.
Okay, that's true. Move on. I want to move.
Let's move on.
Wheels.
I want to talk about Hot Wheels Unleashed too. I was disappointed.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed to see this game just because I feel like
What?
I don't know. The first game,
What
like
about it?
they just the DLC in the first game was so shitty and predatory. And also, I bought the first game, and I'm like, you're already putting out another one. It feels like it wasn't that long ago.
Oh.
I kind of wish this game was the DLC for the first game. So like, the actual new pieces and stuff kind of look interesting, but I'm not doing it. I'm not buying this.
You're
game.
like those parents that like sued Nintendo for putting out the Super Nintendo.
A little bit. That's
Like,
how I feel
in the
about
90s.
this one.
They're like, well, we have a Nintendo. Why are you making me buy this?
Maybe I'm wrong. I just feel like it came out not that long ago. And I know, hey, Pokemon games come out every year, but I hate that too.
Yeah.
2021.
No. I mean,
You're
Mattel.
not wrong.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, it came out. So it's about 2 years. They're about 2 years apart.
no
What's
Call of
funny
Duty
is that my
cycle,
son looked at it and he's like, "We've already got that game." You know what I mean? Like, so, like, he's like, "I
Thank
don't know."
goodness.
He was
Didn't
like,
pass the little kid test.
"It didn't, and that's part of it too." I was glad to see that.
Yeah.
Raising them right.
He's
Does
safe.
the first one have a track editor like this
It
one
does,
Oh.
and again, like he's like, the only thing that looks interesting is because that's his favorite part is like there's new rooms for the track editor, and new pieces, but I don't know if that's enough for me. You know, like it's not. So super duper Hot Wheels fans, I'm sure I bet it's an improvement too in every way, but hopefully,
Yeah, like I kind of passed on Hot Wheels Unleashed the
There you
first
go.
go round, even though I thought it looked really good. I like racing games, and I thought this one in particular looks like a really fun spin on a racing game, right? But I
Right.
kind of opted to get Cruisin' Blast instead at the time. It was kind of like between Cruisin' Blast
I
and
think
Hot
it's
Wheels.
the better game.
It probably is, right? But I think now, as someone who passed on the first one, this one seems like a good like pickup on sale.
If you didn't have
game,
the first
right?
one, sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly, right. So I'm kind of, I don't know that I'm gonna like run out and grab it for $50 on day one or whatever, right? But it's like it definitely
It's on
seems,
sale.
yeah, it,
Yeah.
it looked really attractive to me. That I thought aesthetically it looked really great, and I don't know, it looks like a lot
I
of
thought
fun.
the same thing.
Oh, I mean, the first
Yeah.
one was fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, but we should move on to Manic Mechanics was the next game. That was announced, a little party game.
It's like Overcooked, but for mechanics. Is what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly what it was.
It's
Lots of
another
little-
YouTuber game.
with a lot
So
of little
many
mini
overcooked
games.
Overcooked likes is a new genre, and
Isn't it funny?
I could not care less. I don't know.
Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope DLC was next. I don't know if there's a lot to talk about from that.
We already saw the trailer for it, right? Maybe we saw a few new things in this,
I
but
don't
like
even know.
we already knew about it.
To me, doesn't look as interesting as the DLC from the first one, which was the Donkey Kong DLC, which was sick. I played all of it. And two, I'm still waiting for this game to be completely done, and then I'll buy it for
Yeah.
sale or whatever. So great. I'm glad it's coming out so I can eventually buy this game and play the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah. I also, this is not the Rayman DLC, right?
There's
This is
one
like
more.
Yeah, I think there's this and then the Rayman DLC, and I
Oh.
imagine that's going to be the Donkey Kong DLC of this game, right?
Cool.
So it was
So-
the Rayman DLC that we saw previously.
Yeah, or it was like
Prior.
hinted. They like
Yeah.
showed Rayman's weird hair or whatever, right? And so I think that actually I love Rayman, and so I'm
No,
excited.
people have been waiting for,
that, but-
him to
Yeah,
finally be
yeah.
in these games.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see about that.
Next up is Dragon Quest Monsters: The Dark Prince coming in December. Doesn't speak to me as a non-Pokemon, non-Dragon Quest fan, but I know a lot of people are interested in this one.
Yeah, I think this is a remake of the Game Boy game. Am I correct in that, or is it a new game in the
I
series?
think it's
They weren't
a
really
new
clear about that.
game. Every Dragon Quest fan that I know of seems to be excited about this new kind of Dragon Quest game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know Jay was super excited when Jay was on our Game Boy episode. He talked about how much he loved Dragon Quest Monsters for the Game Boy. It was kind of like a better
oops.
Pokemon back then.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's an old
All right.
franchise that's been around since before the Game Boy Color, but this is the first time it's been brought back in a really long time. So that's
Okay.
exciting.
I'm happy for them.
Me too.
Everyone.
And then next up is Pikmin 4. We got gameplay footage, more details. I won a bet with my son. We had a bet whether there would be another kind of Pikmin.
You taught your son to gamble early on in his
did.
life?
I asked him what he wanted to bet, and he wanted to bet a penny. So I won a penny. That there's a new
Aw.
kind of Pikmin shown off, the glow Pikmin. But yeah, we got lots of information in this one about gameplay, right? A lot more locations shown off, and the demo is coming out. The day this podcast comes out, right? roughly the 28th. So that's pretty exciting. I don't know. I almost want to talk about the next announcement more.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you're the Pikmin head on this podcast. Like, did this do anything to move the needle of your excitement anymore? Or was this just like, okay, great, I know more about it now?
I think the next announcement trumped it. I'm rewatching as we are discussing this. And I think that like the announcement of the night stuff was really interesting. Some of the locations shown off, like they look so human based. I've been listening to some theories. Shout out to Austin, who sent me some YouTube videos where people are talking about where this falls in a timeline and stuff like that. And some theories about that. I mean, it kind of confirms some stuff we thought was happening with caves and stuff. So I don't know. I'm really just excited to play this game. I'm really excited for the demo. And then until the demo came out, I got really focused on the other stuff.
I have a question. Do the Pikmin games not go in order chronologically?
I think, number one, I think these people that are making these videos are this is a Miyamoto franchise, so I'm not sure they think a lot what this. Like we do.
The fans care more than the creator.
But they do go in it at what seems like in order. 1, 2, 3 do. But for
I thought Evil Olimar looked kind of cool.
Yeah, and they show that, right? So there's some mix-up gameplay stuff. That Dandori battle they show where there's like theoretically in the main story, this furry-looking Olimar shows up with a separate dog, and
he's got like a red Pikmin antenna thing on his head.
And you go into another game mode. I know that also early impressions of this are starting to come out. I saw some stuff, and it sounds like this game has a lot to it, and I'm just excited about the amount of content that it seems like it's going to have, and the varied gameplay with night and day, and this Dandori battle. So I think it didn't really move the needle. I would have been excited to play this one way or the other, and they didn't really show off the nighttime gameplay much, which I'm fine with, because I'm excited there's another kind of Pikmin.
That's the depths of this Pikmin game.
It is the depths. And literally, some of the stuff does, like the creepy sandcastle stuff, and like they have the like red eyes, so they have like the red.
No, I'm getting like Pikmin 2 vibes from this game.
Yes,
with like the underground stuff.
They should caves, whatever. But also, there's like indoor human stuff where like they jump and a fan blows them. I don't know what that's about. And some of the visuals just look crazy. So,
I'm excited to try it out.
Yeah. And then they announced that Pikmin 1 and 2 are coming to the Switch, and that was our only shadow drop of the day, I think.
I think so. Yeah.
So they are bringing both of them to the Switch, or they already have. I've already halfway through Pikmin 1.
Oh, yeah, you got both of these, Patrick?
What's funny is Austin texted me, like, I texted him about the Direct, because I didn't get to watch it till later that day, because I was working. And he's like, oh, did you get Pikmin 1 and 2? And I'm like, we're playing Pikmin 1 right now.
Well, that's great, because I have your account on my Switch. And I was about to drop $50 on both of these games.
Yeah.
But I will just use your Switch for all my Pikmin games, which is what I've done for every Pikmin game on Switch.
Please do. Honestly, one's not that long. But yeah, really excited to be playing those. We're trying to beat them before, though now with the demo coming out, I don't know what's going to happen. We'll see. Demo's probably pretty short, though.
Pikmin 2 is a really good game. I played that on the Wii when it came out a while ago. I really enjoyed that. And I do like that these... this didn't get the Metroid Prime remastered treatment where they completely like remade the game. These are really just upscales and modernized controls. I do like that you can do the classic GameCube controls or the Wii pointer controls with this, because I think a lot of people are used to the pointer controls now, especially with Pikmin 3. But yeah, that's great. I'm excited about this. They did do the Metroid Prime remastered thing where it's like, this is Shadow Drop today, and then a physical version is coming down the line, right?
Yeah.
That collects both of them. So I think that's a great trend. I hope that they continue to do that with GameCube games. I wish they'd done that with F-Zero GX this time. But I'm glad that they're still doing that with GameCube games. And I think it's a really great idea. It's I think, for both of those games for $50, it's a pretty good deal.
And I haven't fired up 2 yet, but 1 looks pretty good. With the it's an older game playing it. After playing 3, it's sometimes there's a lot of things where I'm frustrated. Like the Pikmin are a lot, just the AI isn't as good, so they don't follow you very well and stuff like that. So I'm just like, but whatever. It's a lot of fun still. So anyway, we'll move on. We got some more third-party stuff here. Metal Gear Solid. We got to talk about this one, right? The Master Collection Volume 1 coming out this fall, October.
This is pretty fucking hype, y'all.
Yeah, this is hype. This looks like a good collection. Yep. I wish my main gripe with this is that I wish it also included Twin Snakes, right? Because I think Twin Snakes for the GameCube is an awesome version of Metal Gear Solid 1. It's very controversial. Not a lot of people like it. But also, I played Twin Snakes and haven't played the original for PlayStation. So that's fine with me. Like, I'll get a new experience playing that game on here. But yeah, no, this is really, really great news that it is coming to Switch. And this is going to be a really awesome collection to have portably, because these are games you can replay over and over and try different things and do all this different shit with. So yeah, I'm super excited for this.
I think my favorite thing about this collection, and Konami is actually really good at releasing these collections, because I remember when like Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence came out, like they just add a lot of nice extra features for mega fans, and this one having like the digital books and stuff is so sick.
Graphic
like
novels.
That is really cool. Like a lot of collections don't do anything like that.
I want more of that. Mm-hmm.
Same. And they did the same thing for Castlevania Advance collection, where it's like you can play every version of this game, but then also you can see all of the individual instruction booklets for this game. So
these games have strategy guides included with them.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I was very impressed with what they included with this collection beyond just the games. So I'm very hyped.
Yeah, there's a lot packed in, like you said. We got the graphic novels. We've got Metal Gear 1 and 2 for the I forget what it was that it released on originally in Japan, but there were systems that weren't here in the US, right? And then they also have the NES versions of both of those games as well included in this, right? So that's really cool. I think it's really massive. Like, I don't know why it's so big, but it's like a 30 gig download altogether. This is another one.
They have all the music. Could that be why? Like that you can.
Yeah, I think the videos themselves are like 20 gigabytes or something like that, right? So there's a whole lot of shit like packed into this. This is another one of those things where if you want to get it physically, you might as well not, because it's got like, I think it's shipping on like a 2 gig cart, and the rest you have to download, right? Like, I think it might just have Metal Gear Solid 1 on it, right? And the rest you have to download. Yeah, it's pretty silly.
For real?
Yeah, like on the website, it's like, if you want to play this game, you better have an SD card. And it was like, okay. But either way, this is really cool, and also begs the question. There's been a lot of discussion on, this is a volume 1 of the Metal Gear Solid collection.
Correct.
Right? So a lot of people are really trying to speculate what is going to be in Metal Gear Solid Volume 2 collection. Right. And I think, there's a lot of people talking about right now, like, you go to the website and there are all these nodes for the different games. And if you like go into the data for the website, like, all the games that are going to be in this collection have node links or whatever. And when you do the inspect the page thing, and one of those is Metal Gear Solid 4, right? That having been, so people are hyped. People are like, oh, we'll finally get Metal Gear Solid 4 out of PS3 jail. I think that's going to be really difficult in a lot of ways. I mean, that game is famously never ported to anything, to any of these console collections, right? Whenever they do these. Also, the leaker who said that Metal Gear Collection is coming, it's coming to Switch, and there's going to be a Volume 1 and a Volume 2, said that Volume 2 is not going to include Metal Gear Solid 4, right? So I think people are really getting their hopes up, and I think that it definitely could happen. But man, if they had Metal Gear if they had Peace Walker, Ground Zeroes, Metal Gear Solid 5, and Metal Gear Solid 4 in a second collection, man, that would be really, really incredible, right? But I think probably likely what is going to be happening is Volume 2 is going to be like all the PSP games, right? That came out. And so that's what I would probably, and maybe Ghost Babel for the Game Boy, right? But either way, man, I just played all these games for the first time like a couple years ago. I really enjoyed myself. It was really difficult to play these. I played them across like multiple consoles and emulators and all this kind of shit. So having them all just on my Switch, that's going to be really, really great. I'm really excited for this collection to come out.
No, Metal Gear Solid 4 is unacceptable. Don't even make a Volume 2. Don't even fucking bother.
I agree.
You just can't stop. Just don't. Figure it out. It's not that complicated. You can run it on a PC. You can figure out how to port it. Put the money in. I don't give a shit.
Well, you can only barely run it on a PC for what it's worth. It's a hard game to emulate. But if the fucking people who make the PS3 emulator, or PSC3, I think is what it's called, have offered to Sony and Konami to figure out an emulator specifically for this game. But they've, been turned down at every time. But hopefully something's happening behind the scenes on that. Because, man, Metal Gear Solid 4 is an awesome game.
Well, next up was Vampire Survivors on the Direct, the popular game coming to Switch on August 17th, and it's going to have local co-op, right? So that's cool. If you haven't played this game and you want to play it on your Switch, I guess.
Great game.
I'll be double dipping. Yeah.
That's me. I was waiting for it to come to Switch literally because I was like, this is a perfect portable game.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look that like it takes that much power. This is coming to Switch eventually. So I'm
I was mostly playing this on my phone, right? So I'm excited to also play it on my Switch.
Awesome. I mean, we can talk about it more if you want to, but Headbangers Rhythm Royale, a pigeon, what do you call it? Party game thing happening. Moving on.
Not interested. This game looks like shit.
Looks like a mono fever dream, but not the good kind. All right.
Yeah. Yes. We got to talk about this one though. Penny's Big Breakaway.
Yes. This game looks awesome.
I know this is a David Howe game for sure.
Yes.
In multiple ways. Right? Yeah. Isn't this the guy that helped Christian Whitehead made Sonic? Isn't he his team behind this?
Christian Whitehead has developed the engine for this and has built basically a team of all the people that he made Sonic Mania with to make a 3D platformer, right? I have a feeling that because Christian Whitehead and the whole team has kind of separated from Sega a little bit. I think that they weren't really treated that well by Sega following the success of Sonic Mania.
So this is like an Anastasia of Disney kind of situation.
Kind of, yeah. It definitely feels like they were maybe originally developing a sort of Sega Saturn era style Sonic game with them originally, and then had creative differences, and then eventually just split off and made their own game, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, this looks fantastic. I thought it looked cool, but I wasn't like, oh, I gotta get this. And then they were like, it's made by the Sonic Mania developers. And I was like, day one, dude, I'm there. It looks so fun.
Great.
I love the character design. I love the look of the world. Everything about it just screams like, Sega Saturn, Dreamcast era platformer. And man, I'm super pumped for this. I'll be definitely picking this one up day one.
Awesome. I knew this one definitely was like David's getting this one.
Yeah, dude. Are you kidding me? The era of the 3D platformer is fucking back, baby. I'm so excited.
And then we got our Mario Kart Booster Pass announcement. We're getting several characters here. What is it? PD Piranha, Wiggler, and Kamek. And they showed off a brand new course, this sort of in a bathroom.
I know,
a really cluttered bathroom.
The first thing my eyes keyed in on was the bottle of bleach, and I was like, this isn't what I should be keying in on. What's going on here?
Well,
and then I realized it was a bathroom.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but they announced 3 characters. So we've got one more, two more coming the next
2 more coming.
And they really only showed that one course, right?
Right. But it's a brand new one. It's not one that's been in tour. It's not one that's from an old game. I love that. I love that they're doing this stuff. I do have a little bit of a theory about what this means. If you guys will humor
a game
me
theory.
For a second. Yeah. a game theory. Basically, I think that I have an idea on who the last two characters are going to be and what the original course in the next pack is going to be and what that means for the next direct.
Oh
I
my
think
God.
that our next two characters are going to be Diddy Kong and Funky Kong. We're going to get a Donkey Kong themed course. And next direct, we're also going to get the reveal of that Donkey Kong platform game. Like, if this was the Mario direct, I think next time is going to be a Donkey Kong direct, right? And they're going to ride the hype of a Donkey Kong announcement with being like, and you can play as Diddy and Funky, like in the new Mario Kart game. I might be way off on that, but that's my hope. I love Donkey Kong. I love Donkey Kong characters.
I'm gonna say I hope it's Dixie and not Funky. Well, I like them all. But
Well, I mean, it would be, a perfect world would be Diddy and Dixie. You can swap between them like you can with like male and
like
female Inkling and with like
or something.
the Link variants and stuff like that. So I think that would probably be the best way to do it. And then Funky Kong is like one of the most requested characters for these games. You know, like he was kind of the star and like the best racer in Mario Kart Wii. So everybody loved playing as him. I think that Nintendo knows Funky is super popular, which is why they put him in the Switch version of Tropical Freeze. So yeah, that's my bet. If that happens, you heard it here. Call me Nostradamus. But yeah, I'm excited to see what the other tracks are in this pack.
Star Ocean, the second story R is the next announcement. I don't know if this speaks to anybody here and y'all want to talk about it, or we can move on.
Dude, this game is fucking gorgeous.
Yeah.
Is this a Team Asano game?
That's what everyone's been asking, but I haven't found the answer.
It sure looks like it from like the font.
Yeah.
Alone. Yeah.
And just the style, but I mean, it does look great. I did talk to a friend who is big into JRPGs, and he said this is in his top 5.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious now just for that alone. Also, just the aesthetic being more like a space RPG. You know, we have so many medieval RPGs. Curious to see what this is like. Yeah,
I think this is what'll finally get me into the Star Ocean series because of how this looks and with it being on the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, this is it's pretty universally known to be the best game in the whole franchise, the second game. And you know, First Departure R what came out on the Switch a little bit ago and was a way less involved remake. They basically just ported the PSP remake of the first Star Ocean game to the Switch, right? This go round, I mean, I'm surely that must have done well enough for them to be like, oh, enough people picked up this port that we didn't put that much effort into. Let's throw this second game out, which is a better game, put everything we have into it. I think a lot more people are going to pick this one up than even picked up First Departure R. I'm actually pretty pumped for this. I have First Departure R on my Switch, and I enjoy it quite a bit, but this one looks even better.
Yeah, that 3D pixel art, crazy. Looks crazy.
It's gorgeous. So much rim light on those pixel art characters, man. It looks really good.
Then we got another one that I know is a big David one, but also I'm excited about, the WarioWare game. A new WarioWare game, WarioWare Move It. This one looks like it's really made for the Switch. It's all about holding the Joy-Cons in different ways, and I'm here for it. You know, I've been kind of skeptical about motion stuff with the Switch. It hasn't been as good, but I don't know. This looks like it might really nail it. I don't know if you feel the same way.
Dude, yeah, this looks fantastic. I mean, this is basically a sequel to WarioWare Smooth Moves for the Wii, right? And I think, in fact, on the Japanese title is like Smooth Moves Again or something like that. Like they have Smooth Moves like in the title, right? So it's very clearly a follow-up to that game, and Smooth Moves was amazing, right? Such a great WarioWare game. This one looks fantastic. People are asking, like, why is this coming out so soon after the last WarioWare game? Right? Get It Together, because that came out about 2 years ago. So it's pretty quick turnaround. But I really think Get It Together had been done for a long time. You know, because before Get It Together was finally announced, we'd been hearing rumors about a new WarioWare game forever.
Well,
so
we
this
kept
kind of
getting emails about how much would you pay for a WarioWare game?
Right.
How far in advance of the game actually coming out?
Yeah,
right?
but even like 2 years before that, like a new 2D Metroid and a new WarioWare were both rumored around the same time. And then those kind of eventually divvied themselves out over time. So this kind of reads to me like they've been working on this for a while, not just for the past 2 years. I think it shows. I think it looks like a lot more fun than Get It Together. And I really enjoyed that game too.
Excited to try this out when it comes out. Just moving along, they talked about Nintendo Live. I don't think we need to talk about that. We've already talked about it. We'll talk about it more when it happens, I guess.
Me and Jordan are not going to be in Washington during that time.
I know. That's what I was about to say. It's meaningless to us. We will not be there.
And then they gave some lip service to Tears of the Kingdom, and in particular showed off some new amiibo that are coming. Holiday 2023, we're getting a Zelda and Ganondorf from Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Look pretty nice. Jordan, you look like you want to say something.
They look cool, but it's like, what does it do for me? Like in the game, you know? Like
That's not important. What's important is that they're beautiful.
Is that
want them.
Ganondorf is buff? Yeah.
When it comes to little collectible toys, yes, that's all that matters.
The amiibo functionality definitely.
I think they even said like there will be outfits or costumes or maybe it was like cloth or whatever, like the patterns that they'll definitely drop like unique stuff to the game. But yeah, they look good. I mean, these look like good figures. I'm definitely eyeing them.
I think it's just weird to me that it's coming out holiday 2023, and it's like by that time, if I'll be done with Tears of the Kingdom, and if there's no DLC, I won't have any reason to go back. This is not going to make me go.
That's what's been happening with amiibos, though, right? Like we just had the Pyra and Mithra Smash ones come out. Like I don't understand why, but this seems to be their pattern for some reason that they announce
it's
amiibos
just taking
for
a while
games.
for them to develop them.
Something.
I think they've got one factory that makes amiibos, right? And they can only really do one batch at a time, and it just takes a while, and they're still fucking working through
The
Smash amiibos, right? So it's like I think these things just take a while to come out.
Well, yeah. And then we can just move on to the last announcement of the Direct, which is my favorite one. I'm so excited about this, y'all. Like I literally have watched this 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, same.
Super Mario Bros. Wonder, a new 2D Super Mario Bros. Game is coming. There's so much to talk about in this trailer. Just it looks different. It's flower world themed. There's a talking flower, I guess, bell looking thing talks
Navi.
to you. I don't know what it is. Yeah, Navi.
Basically, yeah.
I don't know. There's a bunch of interesting mechanics. The one thing I really want to talk about is the animations and just the sort of art style in general. Like Mario's animations, and I'd be kind of curious, David, if you can, working in animation, if you have some words for this. They seem more like punchy.
Yeah, I mean, they're incredibly expressive. What this kind of reminds me of is like a modernized version of like the Super Mario World sprites. Like in that game, like when you crouch, it's Mario like pulling his hat like over his eyes or whatever, right? But they're like little, they're little 16-bit sprites, Now it's like we get to see like the actualization of like what that looks like in a higher fidelity, right? I think it looks gorgeous. We've got a lot of like squashing and stretching, like you see in a lot of animation. There's smear frames when he's running like on his feet, and almost kind of like Sonic, when he's running. But I mean, you just compare this to New Super Mario Brothers. At face value, it looks pretty similar, right? But then you look at the details of it and you look at the expressiveness of the characters and you're like, oh man, this is like just streets ahead of New Super Mario Brothers franchise was.
Yeah, it just seems like they did an awesome job of like it looking familiar and right, but new. And I don't, struck that balance super well. That jump animation where they kind of pooch their bellies out or whatever. I'm in love with that. Yeah. And then like just every time I watch it, I catch more frames of Mario or the other characters' animations where I'm like, man, like when he gets bumped around by the hippos, there's so many different little animations that happen. I'm just so excited about it.
I love that squirrel who's like running away with like a terrified look on his face. Like, what the fuck is up with that weird ass squirrel?
Yeah, like looks like some sort of chase mechanic there.
Yeah.
And then of course we got to talk about the elephant power up.
Oh my god.
So good. So good.
Cute.
Yes, I love Mario Elephant.
Don't Google Mario Elephant Rule 34. There's a lot of it already out there.
Or do
boy.
actually do Google it.
Or
right?
do,
Like,
yeah.
be educated.
Yeah, do what you're gonna do.
You should know what's out there.
I don't know. What do y'all want to talk about with this? Anything that I haven't mentioned?
I'm just like really happy they changed the art style because I feel like they got so much mileage out of the new Super Mario Bros. Art style. I was like really tired. I even skipped New Super Mario Brothers, Wii U, Deluxe, whatever. I skipped it both. I was like, I don't care anymore. There's nothing original or new about this to get me to keep going back. So I'm just glad they changed the art style in general, personally. Yeah.
It doesn't even it's not just art style though, right? Like the mechanic, there's so many
The feel.
interesting new mechanics.
Right.
Yeah.
I was so curious what they were going to do to really separate this from Mario Maker, right? Because Mario Maker in my mind was like, okay, this is the game to end all 2D side-scrolling Marios. So it really does look like there's a lot of, like, enough new things in here to make it worthwhile. Will this kill Mario Maker?
I mean, I think Mario Maker's. I mean, I did buy.
I'm joking.
Or I didn't buy it actually. A friend lent it to me, but I had it on Wii U. But the new Super Mario Brothers U, like I really enjoy that game, and I think that there's even stuff that there's reasons to buy that game while still owning Mario Maker, like playing a bespoke Mario experience, right? Like with levels crafted that you can't just make in a level creator, right? But you're not wrong. Like there's so much more in this that you can do. I mean, first of all, there's the Wonder Seeds, right? It seems like every level will have a Wonder Seed in it, and then you grab it and it changes the whole level up in some trippy way. It's like Mario took drugs or something and is all of a sudden just seeing the world in a vastly different way, right? And it seems like each level will kind of have its own unique change. At least that's kind of what seems is happening here. Like it was kind of everything kind of just goes by really fast in this trailer. They didn't really explain any of it, but
I think that's good, though.
yeah, I think
it'll
that's
be
great.
I think it'll be really nice for us to all experience a new Mario together, right? And know the exact same amount going into it.
Yeah, totally. I think just speaking just mechanically, if I can just nerd out on this for a second, like I think some of the stuff that makes me really excited about this is that the levels look like you can play them all co-op. They don't look like they were made for co-op, which is something that I would say about the new Super Mario Brothers games. Playing those games by yourself felt a little empty because you're so small on a big screen to allow for all the characters. This seems like it's so much more fleshed out for a single player experience, which is awesome. But you still can do that. Speaking about the multiplayer, it looks like you don't bump into people anymore. You see characters like clipping through each other, which is awesome, right? Because that was something that kind of made those games more chaotic than fun in a way for me. I think this will be a lot more like you're all just playing together trying to get to the same goal, which I think is excellent. Some other stuff, it looks like you have P-Speed in this game again, which has been missing from the new Super Mario Brothers games for a while. You know, P-Speed from Mario 3 and Mario World, where you can reach top speed. A lot of really cool little stuff like that. And you can play as Daisy. I think it's the first time Daisy's been playable in a 2D Mario game, which is pretty exciting. But yeah, I mean, there's so much more we could say about this. At some point, I'd like to unpack this trailer even further.
Fun, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm a huge fucking fan of 2D Mario. I know it's not for everybody. I've been hearing a lot of like trepidation from people online being like, "Oh, I love the 3D Mario games. I don't really care about 2D Mario." But dude, 2D Mario always sells more than 3D Mario. It's much more accessible to people, and it's just really nice to see Nintendo actually taking risks with this franchise because it's been so stale for forever.
Yeah. Well, that was the Direct. We spent a long time talking about it, so I don't know that we need to spend a lot of time summarizing it. I did want us to all, like we typically do, give a nice grade for the Direct. I also wanted to kind of talk about who this Direct was for. Me. That's who it was for. Pikmin and Mario are some of my favorite things right now in Nintendo. And man, I was so happy with a lot of this stuff.
What letter grade would you give it?
I think I have to give it somewhere in the A range. I honestly think this might be one of my favorite Directs. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is really top notch. Getting Pikmin drops right now felt really wonderful. So I'm gonna just give it an A plus, maybe even. But that's me, right? Like, and I totally get that if you're not into the Mario franchise, yeah, this probably. If you're our Fire Emblem and Metroid fans, sorry y'all.
Yeah, maybe I'll jump in on that because I kind of wrote a little list here of things that I think we're missing from this direct. Like Metroid, obviously being a huge one. Metroid 4 still a fucking no-show. That game has been in development for so goddamn long.
I've just kind of gotten used to hearing Metroid in every direct. It was like weird that it wasn't there.
Yeah, right. I mean, like theoretically, we could have 3 possible games they could or 4 with a 2D.
Oh my gosh.
A 2D game, remakes or remasters of 2 and 3, and then 4. We didn't get any of those. No Fire Emblem, right? No Splatoon DLC. Nothing for NSO.
I was shocked that there weren't any NSO updates.
Yeah.
Like, usually they do something.
Yeah, right. And so I think for me, even though I'm a huge Mario fan and I love Super Mario Brothers Wonder, and that's one of the most hype games I've seen in a direct in a really long time, I would probably give this around a B or a B minus for me. I think like just because of a lot of the notable missing things and just so much of this direct felt like fluff and stuff that I had zero interest in. There are a couple things, Mario RPG, that really elevated it to something new. But yeah, I'd give this about, I think, a B minus. What about you, Jordan?
I'm in the same boat. I was like even going, dude, honestly, as far as a C plus, like I was just like, dude, yeah, Super Mario RPG, never thought I'd see the day. Fucking awesome. Great. Mario Brothers Wonder, great. Everything else, I honestly like was just really not feeling it. And I think it also has to do with the fact that it was like such a slow start that I was like, I don't care about this. I don't care about this. I've already seen this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about this. I've already seen this. Like, it was just such a weird start that I was like already in like a kind of a weird mood by the time they got around to Super Mario RPG. Like, I was like C plus, B minus at best. And also, just literally never talking about Metroid Prime 4 is even worse to me. Like,
it's kind of offensive.
It's like it's been so fucking long. And then
Retro is literally still hiring, dude. They just put out another hiring announcement. It's like, what the
goodness.
Fuck?
It's like, I mean, take as much time as you need, but acknowledge that the game fucking exists. Give me a fucking 20-second trailer. You gave Peach game, which I am actually very hyped for, a 20-second like mention, which is but you can't even you get.
Well, they know that's coming next year. They don't know that Metroid Prime is coming.
So what's going to happen, because this happened with Bayonetta 3, is that you're going to get the game when they're going to announce it. You're going to be getting the game in the next month, and then a month after that game, you're going to be getting another Metroid game that no one asked for, but it's going to be great, and you're going to love it.
Okay, if that's what happens, I'm
because
great.
Because we were in hell for how many years with Bayonetta 3 too,
And Metroid. Yeah.
So
what about you? What would you give it, Summer?
I'm in the same boat as Jordan. Yes, because if a C is a passing grade, it's definitely passed for me. I still enjoyed watching it. It didn't go above and beyond. So I would say I think a B minus is probably appropriate for me. Could be bumped up to a B with some extra credit if we got some more. Maybe another one in a month. No, that won't happen.
We'll get one in September, though, I bet.
Yeah, I bet we'll get one in September. Well, yeah, or we get a hardware announcement in September. But
I think we got more time with the Switch, man. I think if this Direct said anything to me, it's that we're not getting another Switch this year, and probably not even next year.
See, I'm not sold on that.
Yeah.
And I was I was getting the vibe almost during this Direct because of all of the fluff that, oh wow, this was that they had to put a Direct together and maybe we are getting new hardware soon. That being said, some of these games do sell me on like complete backwards compatibility, though. Something like a new 3DS situation where it's just an enhanced Switch and there might be some exclusive titles, but for the most part, you can still play most of the games on your Switch.
That sounds like a great discussion topic for us to do soon.
yeah, let's do it.
But we should,
yes, thanks for stopping me.
No, I think it is, and we should save that for that. But
definitely felt like a late life cycle Switch Direct to me.
I'm kind
Yeah,
of with
so-
David,
based
but
off-
I'm gonna save it. Yeah.
I mean,
That Star Ocean
We'll save
is-
it. We'll save it.
It's
Yeah.
the Wheeze last story. Okay, got my
Well, I think we should wrap it up. We talked about all the direct. We graded it. Interesting to see the variety of grades there. But again, I think this one was really targeted towards me. So I think we should call it there. That's going to do it for our discussion on this June 2023 Direct. And we're going to take another short break and we'll come back and talk about the games we've been playing recently. I already mentioned it, but I've been playing Pikmin 1 since this Direct happened. That's mostly what I've been playing because I've been working and playing that when I have time. I already talked about it a little bit, but I'm having a blast playing it. It's a little hard after playing Pikmin 3 because there's certain mechanics that just aren't in it. The Pikmin, again, the AI isn't great. They get stuck behind walls a lot and stuff like that. And I'm getting frustrated. Whereas I think, this is one of those things but I'm also really enjoying it. It's pretty short, I think, and having a good time with it. So that's mostly what I've been playing. I mean, a little bit of Splatoon 3 and probably some Tears of the Kingdom before the Direct. But I guess that's about it. So yeah.
Just Pikmin coated. Yeah, no. Pikmin pilled.
I'll go next because I also haven't been playing too much outside of what I normally play. Still working my way through Picross S9 Mega Picross puzzles, some Tetris 99, some Klonoa too. I've been playing that recently, but yeah, it's been mostly Tears of the Kingdom when I have been playing games and that aren't like poop games. And yeah, I mean, it's great. I did beat the fourth temple, Patrick, and I'm now currently doing what you were hinting at, which I won't spoil. But there is shit after the fourth temple, which is awesome. It doesn't just end the game. There's actually a few things after the fourth temple. I was pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm currently kind of working through my way through that and having a really good time.
I'll piggyback because I'm the same as last week. I also finished the fourth temple per Patrick's recommendation last week because I was worried that it would just
yeah.
So anyway, so I finished the fourth temple. Been doing Tears of the Kingdom, Apex Legends a little bit, and then I finished the fourth case in Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Phenomenal. Really excited to start the fifth case. Jay gave me the heads up that it's one of the longest cases, so I haven't started it yet, but I'm all in. That fourth case was phenomenal. Anyway, that's it.
I am the weirdo who I keep bouncing back and forth now, but knows trying to diversify. I'm like, I need to get back into like bouncing around with my games. So I'm still only one temple in Tears of the Kingdom, despite still playing it all the time. I'm just like exploring. I'm gonna be that person who's got 500 hours and has not seen Calamity Ganon in Breath of the Wild. But I, especially after, Fire Emblem Blazing Blade came to NSO, like that's my bedtime game now, playing that before I go to bed at night. Something about, Fire Emblem just helps me to like shut my brain off. It's like too much to think about. So my brain is like, you're actually very tired. You need to sleep. And then I'm able to like fall asleep with my Switch next to my head on my pillow. But I've also, I'm trying to level up still in Fire Emblem Engage, working on that Xenologue DLC, which is very challenging and has some really great angst to it that I'm really enjoying. So getting through that. And getting through Hi-Fi Rush with my
nice.
Xbox.
Cool.
Oh, yeah, because I'm finally getting past like the tutorial stuff and I have the complete party now in that. God, Hi-Fi Rush is phenomenal.
It's a really excellent game.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to keep playing through that. That one is so much fun. Like all of the like levels of customization that go into that, like to go to your own play style, is just awesome. And I finally started my first Yakuza game this week. I started like a dragon, got through.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's what I'm going to be currently streaming right now. We're going to be playing through that. So I got through all of the prologue stuff, got into chapter 2, got a little bit into that, and it was a lot to get through, like in the best way possible. I was teary-eyed like through the whole thing. It's so, what I didn't realize, it was like that game was reanimated for the English dub.
Yeah.
It's so impressive. Oh my, it's so gorgeous. As soon as I saw that man naked on a beach in the trailer for the next one, I was like, I gotta play these games. I gotta know why that man's naked on a beach. So yeah, it's my turn to be the one playing like a little bit of everything, but that's.
Well, if you like
Where
that,
we're
you're
at.
gonna love Super Monkey Ball. Same developer.
That's what I hear. Yeah.
You're gonna love F-Zero GX.
Awesome. That does it for this week's episode on the June 2023 Nintendo Direct. Thanks to MilkyWay.co for doing our website. Thanks to Corduroy for doing our music. If you're looking for me, Patrick, I am PDYX.
Oh, I do that. What the fuck? I'm pretty much everywhere on the internet at Monolith Fiji.
I am weebwitched everywhere on the internet.
We're killing it.
Oh, I'm Bordan. Still figuring it out. BOREDAN on Instagram and the Discord.
Look at us. Look at us. 4 hosts. We're just as
Killing
right
it.
as rain. But if you'd like to find our show on social media, we are at Switch Headz on Twitter, at Super Switch Headz on Instagram and Facebook. We've got a website, switchheads.com. And we've got a Discord and a Facebook group. We'll have a link to both of those in the description of this podcast episode. Please join us over at the Discord. We'd love to have you. It's been really popping off lately. Lots of really great discussion. And man, everybody over there is just so smart and handsome. So join us over there, and we have a lot of fun in the Discord. But that's going to do it, man, for this episode on the Nintendo Direct episode 214. 1 week later, we've done it. I'm really happy. E3 season is finally over. Ish. I don't know. I guess we still got that Annapurna Direct coming up. But we'll be back next week with an all brand new episode. I'm going to be out the next 2 weeks. I'm going on vacation. But we got some people that are going to be holding it the fuck down. So that's going to be exciting. If you've ever wanted to know what an episode of Super Switch Headz is like without me bocarting every conversation, you're in luck. You're going to get a couple of those. Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. New David just dropped. But we're going to be back next week with that. So don't turn your dial. And other than that, you guys know the drill. Be safe out there. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to one another. Let's march forward into this world with happiness and peace and love. We'll see you guys next week. We love you very much. Bye-bye.